Ecclesiastes, New King James Version. The Vanity of Life. Chapter 1. The words of the preacher to the son of David, the king of Jerusalem. Vanity of vanity, says the preacher. Vanity of vanity, all is vanity. What profit has a man from all of his labor, in which he has toiled under the sun? One generation passes away, and another generation comes. But the earth abides forever. The sun also rises, and the sun goes down, and hastens to the place where it arose. The wind goes towards the south and turns around to the north. The wind swirls about continually and comes again on its circuit. All the rivers run into the sea, yet the sea is not full to the place from which the rivers have come. There they return again. All things are full of labor. Man cannot express it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor is the ear full of hearing. That which has been is what will be, and that which is done is what will be done. And there is nothing new under the sun. Is there anything of which it may be said, "See, this is new"? It has already been in innocent times before us. There is no remnants of former things, nor will there be any remnants of things that are to come, by those whom will come after. The grief of wisdom. I, the preacher, was a king of Israel in Jerusalem, and I have set my heart and to seek and to search out by wisdom concerning all that is done under the heaven. This burden, some task God has given to the sons of men, by which they may be exercised. I have seen all the works that is done under the sun, and indeed all the vanity and grasping in the wind. What is crooked cannot be made straight, and what is lacking cannot be numbered. I communed with my heart, saying, "Look, I have attained greatness, and have gained more wisdom than all of whom before me in Jerusalem. My heart had understood great wisdom and knowledge, and I have set my heart to know wisdom, and to know madness, and to folly. I perceive that this also is grasping in the wind, for in much wisdom is much grief, and he who increases knowledge increases sorrow." The Vanity of Pleasure, Chapter 2. I have said in my heart, "Come now, and I will test you with myrrh. Therefore enjoy pleasure, but surely this also is vanity." I said of laughter, madness, and mirth, "What does it accomplish?" I searched in my heart how to gratify my flesh with wine, while guiding my heart with wisdom, and how to lay hold of folly, till I might see what was good for the Son of Men to do under the heaven all the days of their lives. I have made my works great. I have built myself houses, and planted myself vineyards, and I have made myself gardens and orchards, and I have planted all kinds of fruit trees in them. I had made myself water pools from which to water the ground, the growing trees of the grove. I acquired male and female servants, and servants born in my house. Yes, I had great possessions of herds and flocks than all that were in Jerusalem before me. I also gathered myself silver and gold, and the special treasures of kings and of the providence. I required male and female singers. the delights of the sons of men, and musical instruments of all kinds, so that I became great and excelled more than all who were before me in Jerusalem. Also, my wisdom remained with me. Whatever my eye desired, I did not keep from them. I did not withhold my heart from any pleasure, for my heart rejoiced in all their labor, and this was my reward for all my labor. Then I looked on all the work that my hands had done, and on the labor in which I had toiled. And indeed all was vanity and grasping in the wind. There was no profit under the sun. The end of the wise and the fool. Then I turned myself to consider wisdom and madness and folly, for what can the man do who succeeds the king? Only that he may already have done. Then I saw that the wisdom excelled folly, as light excels darkness. The wise man's eyes are in his head, but the fool's walks in the darkness. Yet I myself perceived that the same event had happened to them all. So I said in my heart, as it has happened to the fool, as it has happened to me, and why was I then more wise than I had said in my heart? This also is vanity, for there is no more remnants of the wise and of the fool forever, since all that now is will be forgotten in the day to come. And now does a wise man die? And how does a wise man die? As a fool. Therefore I hated life, because of this work that is done under the sun was distressing to me, for all the vanity and the grasping of the wind. Then I hated my labor in which I have toiled under the sun, because I must leave it to a man who will come after me, and who knows whether he will be wise or a fool. Yet he will rule over all my labor in which I have toiled, and in which I have shown myself wise under the sun. This also is vanity. Therefore I turned my heart and despaired of all the labor in which I have toiled under the sun. For there is a man whose labor is with wisdom, knowledge, and skill, yet he must leave his inheritance to a man who has not labored for it. This also is vanity and a great evil, for what has a man for all of his labor, and for the striving of his heart, with which he has toiled under the sun? For all of the days are sorrowful, and his works burdensome. Even the night his heart takes no rest. This also is vanity. Nothing is better for a man than that he should eat or to drink, and that his soul should enjoy good in his labor. This also I saw was from the hand of God, for who can eat or who can have enjoyment more than I? For God gives wisdom and knowledge and joy to the man who is good in his sight. But to the sinner he gives the work of gathering and collecting, that he may give to him who is good before God. This also is vanity and grasping in the wind. Chapter 3. Everything has a time. Everything has its time. To everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, and a time to pluck what is planted. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to gain and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. The God-given task. What profit has the worker from what in which he labors? I have seen that God's given task with which the Son of Man are to be occupied. He has made everything beautiful in its time. Also he has put eternity into their hearts, except that no one can find out the work of that God does for beginning to end. I know that nothing is better than to rejoice and to do good in their lives, and also that every man should eat and drink and enjoy the good of all his labor, in which is the gift of God. I know that whatever God does, it shall be forever. Nothing can be added to it, and nothing can be taken away from it. God does it, that man should fear before him. That which is has already been, and that is to be has already been. And God inquires an account of what is to pass. Justice seems to prevail. Moreover, I saw under the sun, in the place of judgment, wickedness was there, and in its place of righteousness, iniquity was there. I said in my heart, God shall judge the righteous and the wicked, for there is a time there for everything. I'll say it again. For there is a time there for every purpose and for every work. I said in my heart, consider my condition of the Son of Men. God tests them, that they may see that they themselves are like animals. For what happens to the Son of Man also happened to animals. One thing befalls them. As one dies, so dies the other. Surely they all have one breath. Man has no advantage over animal, for all is vanity. All goes to one place. All are from the dust, and all return to the dust. Who knows the spirit of the Son of Men, which goes upward, and the spirit of the animal, which goes down to the earth? So I perceived that nothing is better than that a man should rejoice in his own work. For what is his inheritance? For who can bring him to see what will happen after him? Chapter 4. Then I returned and considered of all the oppressed what is done under the sun, and I look the tears of the oppressed, but they have no comforter. On the side of their oppressors there is power, but they have no comforter. Therefore I praise the dead who were already dead, more than the living who are still alive. Yet better than both is he who has never existed, who has not seen the evil work that is done under the sun. The vanity of the selfish toil. Again I saw that for all the toil of every skillful work of a man is envied by his neighbor. This also is vanity and grasping in the wind. The fool folds his hands and consumes his own flesh. Better a handful with quietness than both hands full together with toil and grasping in the wind. Then I returned, and I saw vanity under the sun. There is one alone without compassion. He has neither son nor brother, yet there is no one. Yet there is no end to all of his labor, nor is his eye satisfied with riches. But he never asks, "For whom do I toil and deprive myself of good?" This also is vanity and grasping. This also is vanity and a grave misfortune. The value of a friend. Two are better than one, because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, one will lift him up, his companion. But woe to him who is alone when he falls, for he has no one to help him up. Again, if two lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one be warm alone? Though one may be overpowered by another, two can withstand him, and a thirdfold. A cord is not quickly broken. Popularity passes away. Better a poor man and wise youth than an old and foolish king who will be abolished no more. For he comes out of prison to be a king, although he has born poor in his kingdom. I had saw the living who walk under the sun. They were with the second youth who stands in his place. There was no end of all the people over whom he was made a king, yet those who have come afterward will not rejoice in him. Surely this also is vanity and grasping for the wind. Chapter 5. Fear God and keep your vows. Walk prudently when you go into the house of God, and draw near to hear rather than to give the sacrifice of fools. For they do not know that they do evil. Do not be hasty with your mouth, and let not your heart utter anything hasty before God. For God is in heaven, and you on earth. Therefore let your words be few. For a dream comes through much activity, and a fool's voice is known by his many words. When you make a vow to God, do not delay to pay it, for he has no pleasure in fools. Pay what you have owed. Better not to vow than to vow and not pay. Do not let your mouth cause your flesh to sin, nor say before the messenger of God that it was an error. Why should God be angry at your excuse and destroy the works of your hands? For in the multitude of dreams and many works and many words there is also vanity. But fear God, the vanity of gain and honor. If you see the oppression of the poor, and in the violent perversion of the justice and the righteousness in a providence, do not marvel at the matter. For high officials watch over high officials, and higher officials are over them. Moreover, the profit of the land is for all. Even the king is served from the field. He who loves silver will not be satisfied with silver, nor he who loves abundance will increase. This also is vanity. When goods increase, they increase who eat them, so that profit have the owners, except to see them with their eyes. The sleep of the laboring man is sweet, whether he eats little or much, but the abundance of the rich will not permit him to sleep. There is no severe evil. There is a severe evil which I have seen under the sun. Riches keep for their owners to his hurt. But those riches perish through misfortune. When he begets a son, there is nothing in his hand. As he has come from his mother's womb, naked shall he return. To go as he has come, and he shall take nothing for his labor, which he may carry away in his hand. And this also is a severe evil. Just exactly as he is come, so shall he go. And what profit has he who has labored for the wind? All of his days he also eats in darkness, and he has much sorrow and sickness and anger. There is what I have seen. It is good and fitting for one to eat and to drink and to enjoy the good of all of his labor in which he has toiled under the sun all the days of his life which God has given him, for it is his inheritance. As for every man to whom God has given riches and wealth, and given him power to eat of it, to receive his inheritance and heritage, and rejoice in his labor. This is the gift of God, for he will not dwell unduly on the days of his life, because God keeps him busy with the joy of his heart. Chapter 6. Then there is an evil which I have seen under the sun, and it is common among men, a man to whom God has given riches and wealth and honor, so that he lacks nothing for himself, for all he desires. Yet God does not give him power to eat of it, but a foreigner consumes it. This is vanity, and it is an evil affliction. If a man begets 100 children and lives many years, so that day of his years are many, but the soul is not satisfied with goodness, or indeed he has not no burial, I say that a stillborn child is better than he, for it has come in vanity and departs in darkness, and in the name is carved with darkness, though it was not seen the sun or known anything. This has more rest than that man, even if he lives 1,000 years twice, but has not seen goodness. Do not all go to the place. All the labor of men is for his mouth, and yet the soul is not satisfied. For what more has the wise man than the fool? What does the poor man have? Who knows how to walk before the living? Better is the sight of the eye than the wonder of desire. This also is vanity and grasping in the wind. Whatever one is, he has been named already, for it is known that he is man. And he cannot contend with him who is mightier than he. Since there are many things that increase vanity, who is a man? How is a man the better? For who knows what is good for men in life, in all the days of his vain life, which he passes like a shadow? Who can tell a man what will happen after him under the sun? Chapter 7. The value of practical wisdom. A good name is better than precious ornaments, and the days of death than the days of one's birth. Better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting, for that is the end of all men, and the living will take it to heart. Sorrow is better than laughter, for by a sad countenance the heart is mad. For by sad countenance the heart is made better. The heart of the wise is the house of mourning, but the heart of the fool is in the house of the mirth. It is better to hear the rebuke of the wise than for a man to hear the song of fools. For like the crackling of thorn under a pot, so is the laughter of the fool. This also is vanity. Surely a prest destroys a wise man's reason, and a bribe debases the heart. The end of all things is better than its beginning. The patient in spirit is better than the proud in spirit. Do not hasten in your spirit to be angry, for anger rests in the bosom of fools. Do not say, why were the former days better than these? For you do not inquire wisely concerning this. Wisdom is good with an inheritance, and profitable to those who see the sun. For wisdom is a defense, as money is a defense. But the excellence of knowledge is those wisdom given life to those who have it. Consider the work of God, for who can make straight what he has made crooked? In the day of prosperity be joyful, but in the day of adversity consider. Surely God has appointed the one as well as the other, so that man can find out nothing that will come after him. I have seen everything in the day of vanity. There is a just man who pierces in his righteousness. There is a just man who perverses in his righteousness, and there is a wicked man who prolongs life in his wickedness. Do not be overly righteous, nor be overly wise. Why should you destroy yourself? Do not be overly wicked, nor be foolish. Why should you die before your time? It is good that you grasp this, and also not remove your hand from the other. For he who fears God will escape them all. Wisdom strengthens the wise more than 10 rulers over the city. More than 10 rulers over the city, for there is not a just man of earth who does good and does not sin. Also, do not take to heart everything people say, lest you hear your servant curse you. For many times also your own heart has known, that even you have cursed others. All this I have provided by wisdom, and I have said I will be wise, but it was far from me, as for that which is far off and exceedingly deep. Who can find it out? I have applied my heart to know. I have searched and seeked out wisdom and the reason of things, to know the wickedness of folly, even of foolishness and madness. And I have found more bitter than death the woman whose heart is snared, a net, whose hands are fetters. He who pleases God shall escape from her, but the sinner shall be trapped by her. Here is what I have found, says the preacher, adding one thing to another thing, adding one thing to another, to find out the reason which my soul still seeks, but I cannot find. One man among 1,000 I have found, but a woman among all these I have not found. Truly, this only I have found, that God made man upright, but they have sought out many symbols. Chapter 8. Who is like a wise man, and who knows the interpretation of things? A man's wisdom makes his face shine, and the sternness of his face is changed. Obey authorities of God's sake. I say, keep the king's commandments keep the king's commandments for the sake of your oath to God. Do not be hasty to go from his presence. Do not take your stand for an evil thing, for he does whatever pleases him. Where the word of the king is, there is power, and who may say to him, What are you doing? He who keeps his commandment will experience nothing harmful. And a wise man's heart discerns both time and judgment, because for every matter there is a time and judgment. Though the mysteries of man increase greatly, for he does not know what will happen. So who can tell him then it will occur? No one has power over the Spirit to retain the Spirit, and no one has power in the day of death. There is no release from that war, and wickedness will not deliver those who are given to it. All this I have seen, and applied my heart to every work that is done under the sun. There is a time in which one man rules over another to his own heart. Death comes to all. Then I saw the wickedness buried, who had come and gone from this place, from the holiness, and they were forgotten in the city where they had so done. This also is vanity, because this sentence against an evil work is not excused speedily. Therefore the heart of the Son of Man is fully set in them to do evil. Though a sinner does evil 100 times, and his days are prolonged, yet I surely know that it will be well with those who fear God, who fear before him. But it will not be well within the wicked, nor will he prolong his days, which are as a shadow, because he does not fear before God. There is a vanity which occurs on earth, that there are just men to whom it has happened accordingly to the works of the wicked. Again, there is a wicked man to whom it has happened according to the work of the righteous. And I said that this also is vanity. So I commented employment. So I commanded enjoyment, because a man had nothing better under the sun than to eat, drink, and to be merry, for this will remain with him in his labor all the days of his life, which God has given him under the sun. Then I applied my heart to know wisdom, and to see the business that is done on earth, even though one sees no sleep day or night. Then I saw all the work of God, that a man cannot find out the work that is done under the sun. For though a man labors to discover it, yet he will not find it. Moreover, though a wise man attempts to know it, he will not be able to find it. Chapter 9. For I considered all this in my heart, so that I could declare it all, that the righteous and that the wise of their works are in the hand of God. People know neither love nor hatred by anything. They see before them all things come alike to all. One event happened to the righteous and the wicked, to the good, the clean, and the unclean, to him who sacrifices and him who does not sacrifice. As in the good, so is the sinner. As is the good, so is the sinner. He who takes an oath, as he who fears an oath. This is an evil in all that is done under the sun, that one thing happens to all. Truly, the heart of the Son of Men are full of evil madness in their heart while they live, and after that they go into the dead. But for him who is joined to all of their living, there is hope. For a living dog is better than a dead lion. For the living know that they will die, but the dead know nothing, and they have no more reward, for the memory of them is forgotten. Also their love, their hatred, and their envy have now perished. Nevermore will they have a share in anything done under the sun. Go, eat your bread with joy, and drink your wine with merry hearts, for God has already accepted your work. Let your garment always be white, and let your head lack no oil. Live joyfully with the wife whom you love all the days of your vain life, which he has given you under the sun, and all the days of vanity. For what is your portion in life, and in the labor which you perform under the sun? Whatever your hand finds to do it, do it with all your might. For there is no work, or device, or knowledge of wisdom in the grave where you are going. I returned, and I saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, nor bread to the wise, nor riches to men of understanding, nor favor to men of skill, but time and chance happen to them all. For man also does not know his time, like a fish taken from a cruel net, like a bird caught in a snare. So the Son of Man are snared in an evil time. Then it falls suddenly upon them. Wisdom, superior to folly. This wisdom I have also seen under the sun, and it seems great to me. There was a little city with few men in it, and a great king comes against it, besieged it, and built great snare around it. Now there was found in it a poor wise man, and he by his wisdom delivered the city. Yet no one remembered that same poor man. Then I said, wisdom is better than strength. Nevertheless, the poor man's wisdom is despised, and his words are not heard. Words of the wise, spoken quickly, should be heard, rather than the shouts of a ruler of fools. Wisdom is better than weapons of war, but one sinner destroys much good. Chapter 10. Dead flies petrify the perfumer's ointments, and causes it to give off a foul odor. So does a little folly to one respected for wisdom and honor. A wise man hears it. A wise man's heart is at his right hand, but a fool's heart at his left. Even when a fool walks among the way, he lacks wisdom, and he shows everyone that he is a fool. If the spirit of the ruler rules against you, do not leave your post, for condescension pacifies. Okay. If the spirit of the ruler rules against you, do not leave your post, for constellation pactifies great offense. Probably not saying that. It's CONCILIATION, practices great offense. There is an evil I have seen under the sun, as an air proceeds from the ruler's folly, is set in great dignity, while the riches sit in the low places. I have seen servants on horses, while princes walk on the ground like servants. He who digs a pit will fall into it, and whoever breaks through a wall will be bitten by a serpent. He who quarrels stones may be hurt by them, and he who splits wood may be in danger by it. If the axe is dull and one does not sharpen the edge, then he must use more strength. But wisdom brings success. A serpent may bite when it is not charmed. The babbler is not different. The babbler is no different. The words of the wise man's mouth are gracious, but the lips of the fool shall swallow him up. The words of his mouth begin with foolishness, and in the end of his talk is ravening madness. A fool also multiplies words. No man knows what is to be. Who can tell him what will be after him? The labor of a fool wearies. The labor of the fool wearies them, for they do not even know how to go to the city. Woe to you, O land, when your king is a child, and your princes feast in the morning. Blessed are you, O land, when your king is the son of nobles, and your princes feast in the proper time. For strength and not for drunkenness, because of laziness the building decays, and though idleness of hands the house leaks. A feast is made for laughter, and a wine makes merry, but money answers everything. Do not curse the king, even in your thoughts. Do not curse the rich, even in your bedroom, for the bird of the air may carry your voice, and the bird in flight may tell the matter. Chapter 11. The value of diligence. Cast your bread upon the waters, for you will find it after many days. Give a serving to 7 and also 8, for you do not know what evil will be on the earth. If the clouds are full of rain, they empty themselves upon the earth. And if the tree falls to the south of the north, in the place where the tree falls, there it shall lie. He who observes the wind will not sow, and he who regards the clouds will not reap. As you do not know what is the way of the wind, or how the bones grow in the womb of her who is with child, so you do not know the words of God, who makes everything. In the morning sows your seed, and in the evening do not withhold your hand, for you do not know which will prosper, either this or that, or whether both alike will be good. Truly the light is sweet, and it is pleasant for the eye to behold the sun. But if a man lives many years and rejoices in them all, yet let him remember the day of darkness, for they will be many. All that is coming is vanity. Seek God in early life. Rejoice, O young man, in your youth, and let your heart cheer you in the days of your youth. Walk in the ways of your heart and in the sight of your eyes. but know that for all this God will bring you into judgment. Therefore remove sorrow from your heart and put away evil from your flesh, for childhood and youth are vanity. Chapter 12. Remember now your Creator in the days of your youth, before the difficult days come and the years draw near, when you say, I have no pleasure in them, while the sun and the light, the moon and the stars are not darkened, and the clouds do not return after the rain. In the day when the keepers of the house tremble, and the strong men bow down, when the grinders chase because they are few, and those that look through the window grow dim, then the doors are shut in the street, and the sound of grinding is low. Then one rises up into the sound of a bird, and all the daughters of music are brought low. Also they are afraid of height and of terror in the way. Then the almost tree blossoms. The jasper is a burden, and desires falls. For man goes to his eternal home, and the mourners go about their streets. Remember your Creator before the silver cord of loosened, or the golden bowls is broken, or the pitcher shattered at the fountain. On the wheel broken at the well, then the dust will return to the earth as it was, and the spirit will return to God who giveth. Vanity of vanities, says the preacher, all is vanity. The whole duty of men, and moreover because the preacher was wise and he still sought the people, knowledge, yes, he pondered and sought out and set in order many proverbs. The preacher sought to find acceptable words, and that was written was upright words of truth. The words of the wise are like gads, and the words of the scholars are like well-driven nails, given by one shepherd. And further, my son, be admitted. I think I said that right. Be admonished by these of making many books. There is no end, and much study and wearisome to the flesh. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is man's all. For God will bring every work into judgment, including every secret thing, whether good or evil. And that is the end of Ecclesiastes for New King James Version. Thank you.